welcome now. The deal is sealed quite literally. Voters have cast their vote. The decision has been made. The decision has been in fact relayed, but we'll get to know that on 23rd officially of what people really are speaking. But over the next few hours till 9, Mirror Now is going to be getting you the poll of polls. We're going to get you all the numbers, crunching it together, showing which exit poll is predicting who's win. These are big stake battles, whether it be Maharashtra, whether it be in Jharkhand. While the political landscape of the two states is absolutely distinct, absolutely different, there's one thing that is at the heart of both of these, and that's identity politics. Some would say that's largely the resonance when it comes to elections across India. But let's just break this down at this point. Maharashtra, 288 seats. Remember, let's just take you through the 2019 assembly elections. It was a hung house. BJP did manage to be the single largest party, but what eventually emerged was a huge political realignment, as someone would call. It was historic in many senses for Maharashtra politics, as it were, and the fallout has been considerable. In fact, if you look at the 2019 elections, 105 seats for BJP with a vote share of 25.75%. That was the single largest party. You had Shiv Sena, 56 seats, and a 16.41% vote share. You had NCP with 54 seats and a 16.71% vote share. Congress, 44 seats, 15.87% vote share. And then you had 29 seats with independents. While all of this was the reality of 2019, and we really saw the political realignment break forth about how Shiv Sena broke ties with the BJP, went on to join the NCP as well as the Congress under the MVA. It was, many would say that was the changing point. In fact, we're just getting it right now at point. The initial leads are coming in. P-Mark Republic is coming in. BJP is 137 to 157. That's the numbers that we are looking at. This is for Maharashtra. 126 to 146 for Congress, and 2 to 8 for others. That's the numbers that we are getting at this point. It's quite a safe margin if you look at whether it is BJP and Congress, both ways. Let's just see if we can go to our guests at this point to see the initial reactions that we get. I'm being joined at this point by Ali Daruwala, who's a spokesperson for BJP, B.D. Singh, who's a spokesperson for Shiv Sena, Sanjay Jha, who's an author, as well as Anish Gawande, national spokesperson for the NCP Sharad Pawar faction, Chandrasekhar Jha, who's a spokesperson for Shiv Sena, as well as Dr. Uday Nirgudkar. So the initial numbers, at least the first set of numbers, have come in. Let's just straight go at this point to Ali Daruwala. Ali Daruwala, what do you make out of this? It's just the first set of numbers that have come in, very preliminary. But you would say, even as BJP has allied in a very different landscape in Maharashtra, the election results are going to be literally a battle for identity, the real stakeholder for Maharashtra across party lines on this panel.
Exactly. Good evening to you. Good evening to the nation from your prestigious channel. And I give a very warm welcome to all the panelists over here. I will begin my thing with modesty. I would not say that we are winning and we are going to form the government and all that humbug. Over here, I'd like to thank the voters in Maharashtra. There was a narrative that was set as to a single party which was coming from far end of Maharashtra, on the south side of Maharashtra, is going to wipe out BJP, and things are not gone down well. And we have been indulging in breaking families, breaking parties, and what we have done, we have snatched symbols, we have done all this. In spite of this, modesty, with due humbleness, I accept the Maharashtra people who have given us such a good mandate. No matter what it is, I will humbly again say, it can be Kati ki Takkar, 51, 49, 50, 50, or whichever way it goes. We are very grateful to the citizens of Maharashtra, to the Matadata, the Janmanas, who have recognized us as a party who has come with Vikas, who has come with agenda, and ye Katenge to
Okay,
Batenge was
okay.
only a symbol to unite the citizens of Maharashtra and not to divide on caste census.
We'll get
That's
to
what I'm
that. We'll get
repeating.
to that. We'll get to Katenge to Batenge. Let me just go across to Anish Gawande at this point. Anish Gawande, at least the initial lead that's coming is towards Mahayuti.
Listen, as a spokesperson, predicting numbers is not a vice that I should engage in. So I think going by the exit polls that we saw both for the Lok Sabha elections and then for Haryana, I don't think we should be making any statements
I agree.
on
And also, these
where
are
the
just
tide will turn come the
absolutely
23rd of
preliminary
November.
leads that are coming in. The preliminary numbers, there's so much more that's going to come in. It's just the beginning, as it were. So, as you have the ABP numbers also, Metris on your screen as well, that gives a very different story. That's possibly tilting towards MBA. So, but nonetheless, while these numbers are coming on, and it's an open thing, everybody has questioned the relevance of exit polls, as it were. But with what's happened in Maharashtra, how would you really look at what's the biggest stake at this point?
See, I'll tell you one very simple thing, right? In February, we didn't have a symbol. We didn't know how we were going to contest these elections. And by May, we'd already gotten into the Lok Sabha elections and won 8 out of 10 seats. Now, for these elections, I think what's been at stake is consolidating on those gains, ensuring that we can get our core voters to the polling booth and ensuring that they come out and vote for us. And I think by the way things are going and the voting percentages have panned out, I think that we've been successful at getting voters to the polling booth and convincing them that this is an important election. This is an election where regional parties have been dismembered. This is an election where the future of Indian federalism is importantly at stake. And this is an election for a better and more progressive Maharashtra. So I think we've been able to convince voters on those fronts. I'm fairly confident we were all smiles this morning and at the end of this day today as well.
BD Singh, let's just look at this. Of course, Maharashtra is a huge state. 288 seats is not a small number. Huge stakes for the parliamentary elections always. Whoever wins Maharashtra usually goes on to have high stakes for the parliamentary elections that would happen. But BD Singh, would you agree at the heart of these elections, and also what Anish just spoke? He spoke about how regional parties has been dismembered, and literally the battle is amid a lot of other high stakes about who's the real Pawar and who's the real Sena, though the verdict has been done in the court, at least partly, as well as there's already an election that's gone by. The Lok Sabha elections were conducted amid it all. But it's the first assembly elections with this huge stakes, and that's why you have something like what we saw with Tavade versus what you saw with the Bitcoin allegations last moment first. But do you think this will connect with people?
नेहा जी, आपके दो सवालों का मैं अलग अलग जवाब दूंगा। एक तो जो एग्जिट पोल के बारे में आप बात कर रही हैं, एग्जिट पोल जो है करेक्ट नहीं है। जैसा कि हरियाणा में भी दिखाया गया था कि जो है कांग्रेस की काफी ये है वस्तु आपने देखा ही। इसी तरह से एग्जिट पोल आपने जो है क्या कहते हैं अमेरिका का भी देखा था, उसमें हरीश को दिखाते थे कि ये इतने वोट से जीत रही, आपने ट्रम्प को जीतते देखा। तो इसमें ज्यादा बात करके फायदा नहीं, अभी 2-3 दिन ही है, उसके बेस पे ही जो है डिसाइड होगा जो एक्चुअल, क्योंकि हम लोग का जो अनुमान है, क्योंकि देखिए माननीय शिंदे साहब ऐसे नेता हैं जो जमीन से जुड़े हुए हैं। मैं उनको बहुत दिन से जानता हूं और वो उनको मैं ये आपको बता दूं नेहा जी की वो सुबह 8 बजे घर से निकलते हैं और रात को 12-1 बजे 2-2 बजे आते हैं। ये जो है वो उद्धव जी जैसी शिवसेना नहीं है।
Okay, just a minute. While you're saying that, and as you're taking a dig at the exit poll numbers, let me do the job that I have to do. News 18 India is really going on with 147 for BJP and 136 for Congress Plus and Congress and the other alliance as well, and you have 5 for others. So BJP and its alliances, Congress and its alliances, and others. So again, a lead towards BJP. But as I have been saying, this is a poll of polls. These are just about the early leads that are coming in at this point. Please go ahead, finish your point, Mr. BD Singh. Is this really about also Pawar versus Pawar, Sena versus Sena?
यस, मेरा कहना ये है कि जो आपका जो ये जो एग्जिट पोल बता रहा है उससे ज्यादा मेरा अनुमान है। और दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये था कि जो आप बिटकॉइन या जो अपना ये तावड़े जी का बताया, उसका इलेक्शन पे अभी कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, क्योंकि क्या है कि महाराष्ट्र की जनता बहुत स्मार्ट है, हर चीज को समझती है। अभी क्या है, जिस दिन वोटिंग कल होना है, आज ये जो है तावड़े जी का दिखा रहा है, पार्ली जो है सुप्रिया जी का बता रहा है, तो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगी, क्योंकि जो महाराष्ट्र की जनता है वो ऑलरेडी जो है माननीय शिंदे साहब के जो लाडली
Okay,
बहन
okay.
लाडली बहन योजना है, लेट मी कंप्लीट।
Okay, Sanjay Jha, if I can get you in, Sanjay Jha, not surprising that officially Congress has taken a stand that they're not going to be part of exit polls and the discussions around exit polls, Sanjay Jha, but really at stake in Maharashtra, and we'll discuss Maharashtra for now because the early numbers are coming in for Maharashtra, but Sanjay Jha, quite literally, a lot is at stake in Maharashtra. One big thing though, a big question that we have been asking and seeing through the day, despite a very polarized campaign, polarizing issues in Maharashtra, the voter connect largely seems to be missing across party lines. Look at it. As of now, we've not crossed the 50% voter turnout. We don't know what lies ahead. But Sanjay Jha, something is amiss, Sanjay Jha.
Well, Sneha, firstly, I can tell you there is a lot of cynicism with exit polls. And, I don't think you can blame the common man or political parties to treat it with a lot of condescension or contempt because of the way they misfired during the Lok
Fair
Sabha
point.
elections. Yeah, I think the larger point, however, has to be what I think my friend Mr. Gawande correctly mentioned, that these are very early days. I think Maharashtra election is a complicated election because for the first time you're having six political parties, uh, two of them who have been divided and
That's true.
subdivided by the BJP. And therefore there are a lot of rebel candidates as well, some of them propped up and some of their own volition. So I think you'll have to wait till the 23rd. But I want to make a correction to what the gentleman Mr. Singh pointed out earlier to defend Vinod Taure being caught on camera. He quoted Supriya Sule and Nana Patole's conversation. Mr. Singh, you need to apologize to the people watching this program, because you should be aware that that entire press conference was based on a fake narrative of an AI generated conversation. I mean, the BJP today or its allies have nowhere to hide. Vinod Taure is caught on camera, and then you have a BJP holding a spectacular press conference selling fake news. And clearly they knew what they were doing. So
We'd have to see how much of that really reflects on the ground as well, Sanjay Jha. That's going to be also very interesting because those were also before the crucial moments of people deciding or casting their votes as well.
I agree, Sneha. We'll have to wait.
But here's my question.
But we cannot ignore the political immorality
Right,
that the BJP is forcing upon the country.
Dr. Uday, Sanjay Jha says it's a political immorality that's been forced on. Dr. Uday, it's Mr. Sanjay is saying it's a political immorality by the BJP that's been forced on. But even if you go by what the pollsters are saying, it's quite towards the Mahayuti side, at least for the different numbers that have come in at this point. It's quite towards the Mahayuti side, even if you take it with a pinch of salt, even if you have your cynicism. What's worked and what's not worked for either sides, Doctor, there? How do you look at it? Do you see this in line with what you're thinking?
I will comment on the exit polls a little later, but my personal advice to the political representatives of the political parties, Baba, अब चुनाव खत्म हुए हैं, अब वोटिंग हो चुका है, डोंट मेक एलिगेशंस. आज रात को शायद आपको एक दूसरे के साथ 23 तारीख को रात को बैठना पड़ेगा. डोंट इंक्रीज द एनिमोसिटी. Please remember these words. She will cut down and show it on 23rd. This is what you said on 20th. So don't fight now. Your party bosses are meeting at somewhere else. Don't do this in front of people. You are not going to get any MLC seat by doing this. So just talk on numbers. Just talk on issues. Will Ladli Behna work? How the splitting parties people
Doctor,
will accept.
with your advice
will job
now,
industry
all
crisis
for the
was
pants.
going to work? Will caste and quota system will work? Soybean
Okay, so in fact,
crisis,
Dr. Uday, even
onions,
as we
cotton,
speak, the
are
first
these
poll
issues
of
addressed
poll
properly?
numbers are really on our screen. Dr. Uday, give me few minutes. Give me few minutes. The poll of poll numbers are really on our screen at this point. So Republic, again, very clearly giving a lead towards the NDA. You have ABP towards the NDA. You have News 18 giving 147, News 18 India giving 147 for NDA, 136 for Congress, 5 for others. You have People's Pulse, again, quite massively towards the NDA at 182. For the India Alliance or for the MVA at 97. I mean, look at these numbers. Dr. Uday, very quickly, how do you look at this?
The first three are almost matching in a similar blend with a plus or minus 5 or 10, and that's acceptable. But the last one is People's Pulse is showing a very huge deviation from the top three. I can confidently say that out of 288 seats, 100 are already done deal, where who is going to win is already decided by the people, where the margin is going to be more than 20,000. But I can tell you about 50 seats in Maharashtra this time will be a photo finish and very difficult to predict at this point of time, as we have one Mahayuti candidate, one Maha Vikas Aghadi candidate, rebel from both of them, genuine rebels or sponsored rebels. Then you have MNS, then you have Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi, and a genuine independent who can take more than 2,000 votes. Anybody who can take about 2,000 votes is a serious threat to the winner in case of a photo finish, and these photo finish seats are going to be the largest ever in Maharashtra. Mark my words, and I'm sure you will compliment me on 23rd.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting that you're saying that. Okay, let me just very quickly, I think we just have very few minutes. Let me very quickly get in the initial reactions. Dr. Daruwala, do you want to respond to the numbers, the poll of poll numbers that have come in? A minute to you.
Nothing. I'm taking these numbers with a pinch of salt. I'm not going by it, and I'm not starting my celebration as of now. But over here, if that minute you have given 30 seconds, I will waste my time in giving due credit to Honorable Sharad Pawar ji, not as a party, not as a competitor, as an 85-year-old man. He has sent a message to the people in Maharashtra, wherein I'll tell you, in our household, when our elders have reached 70, 75, they hang their boots and they say, "Humse kaam nahi hota." Forget politics, keeping politics to the side. We should take inspiration from Honorable Sharad Pawar ji. क्या एक इंसान ये उम्र में इतनी मेहनत से, इतनी लगन से काम कर सकता है? And coming back to the numbers,
Okay. Mr. Daruwala, please hold on. I think we're getting the initial numbers for Jharkhand as well. So you have ABP's Metrize, that's gone on for NDA with 42 to 47. Congress and its allies, that is the India bloc, 25 to 30. This is ABP really at this point. Sanjay Jha.
The battle is really between the state, which has seen a lot of good development over the last 5 years, and a stable government. And I think the BJP has tried very hard on the whole issue of infiltration, which we all know is a fake news, because if there was infiltration, frankly, the central government is admitting a public failure. But, at the end of the day, that kind of toxic politics does work with at least some people who are vulnerable to that propaganda. But we are very confident that the India Alliance is going to win, and win handsomely in Jharkhand, because at the end of the day, Hemant Soren represents a community that has been harassed in broad daylight. You know that Hemant Soren was put in jail, and at the end of the day, that was nothing but a very well-orchestrated campaign to insult him and destabilize the government. So we are very confident that India Alliance will win in Jharkhand.
But Sanjay Jha, would you agree the way Champai Soren moved away from he was an absolute Hemant Soren loyalist, the way he moved on, the way BJP has gone ahead, allied with much smaller parties, Sanjay Jha, these numbers, I'm not saying they are correct or not, can have a lot of resonance on ground. Very quickly, if I can get in response from Ali Daruwala. I don't have more than 30 seconds, Ali Daruwala.
Okay.
See, Jharkhand, to be very honestly, I've not been very active in Jharkhand. I've not been following Maharashtra. I have been on the ground. I can tell you each details of each constituency in Maharashtra. And if your numbers are right and as to what, I am telling you over here, people are not fools. A central government and having a different state government, the nitty-gritties, the bottlenecks and the development is blocked. So having a free flow, having the state to prosper,
Chandrasekhar
nobody
Jha,
is a fool to government out.
developmental bluff and the narrative bluff. Chandrasekhar Jha, at least the numbers are not seeming very good for the MV at
See,
this point.
these are all opinion polls which have come now. And we believe that in Maharashtra we are forming our government. At least the BJP spokesperson will be very happy to say that we are not forming the government, but we are forming the government at this moment. The results will come out on 23rd. It is not too far. But eventually, the initial the polls and the opinion polls, which shows the tendency of BJP to be in increased arena, but those polls have already failed. So we don't rely upon these opinion polls at this juncture because the results will come out very soon.
Okay.
And eventually, we are not also rejoiceful
All right.
because
Okay.
this is a very tough and very challenging voting which has happened because the voting ratio is very less in Maharashtra. We did not expected this kind of voting. So it will be very tough, very challenging, and the results will pave the way.
Anish, you may really say that, yes, it is, these numbers are not to be taken at the face value. Of course, exit polls have been proved wrong time and again. The joke may be on the exit polls, fair enough. But if you look at the Maharashtra polls, as it were, and at least with the numbers that's coming in, when it comes to the MVA, even though they've been quite upbeat with the Lok Sabha elections, with what happened in the Lok Sabha elections, they really had got a shot in the arm, particularly for Congress as well, that really had got shaken up in so many other places in Maharashtra. It did pretty well. Anish Gawande, has the opposing alliance managed to checkmate at some points, particularly with the Ladki Bahin scheme? Has that really been a ground game changer?
A few points, right? I think one, the differences that you're seeing between the Mahayuti and the Maha Vikas Aghadi all seem to be within the margin of errors for most exit polls. So these sort of slight swings can go either way. Perhaps the most interesting things in these exit polls is the low number of seats that have been given to independents or others. Just a couple of weeks ago, I know we were all discussing how this was going to be an election where a lot of independents might win, a lot of smaller parties might win, but clearly there seems to be a tendency for voters to be deciding quite decisively between one alliance or the other. Now, this is great news for the Maha Vikas Aghadi because unfortunately our voter is a silent voter. You saw that with the Lok Sabha election results and the exit polls in that election. And I'm fairly confident that you'll see it in this election as well, where refusal of voting percentages to increase, unfortunately, and it's a very unfortunate reality, indicates perhaps that Ladki Bahin has not had the electoral impact that the government thought it would, right? It's not led to a massive bump in voting percentages.
That's again something that has to be discussed threadbare, and the results that eventually do emerge is going to show a lot of shed a lot of light on these facts, particularly as women were seen as a huge target group elections after elections, particularly in these elections. Thank you very much to our panelists. Stick on with us because we will be giving you this larger picture. My colleague Shreya Dhondiyal will be taking it over. Thank you very much for tuning in at this point.
The next Indian icons, beating every